Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you all for your participation in the channel. Super excited about today's show. And just right off the bat, just to let you know, we're not going to be playing any music today, but we're going to be talking about some of the albums that we have been reacting to. Some of the a lot of the songs that we've been reacting to, I've done full albums of. And I just kind of wanted to talk about some of these albums and sort of give some recommendations for album listens through the ones that we have been listening to. I'm going to kind of stick to the full albums that I've done that I've really liked. I might throw in a few recommendations from artists that I haven't done complete albums, because some artists I've been kind of splattered all over their catalog, such like Dream Theater, for example. I haven't done like a full album. I've done some live stuff. And unfortunately, with Dream Theater, I actually did a video from their latest album, a reaction, because I haven't heard it. And I did the very first song. And let's see, it was The Alien from their latest album, and they blocked it. So, not really sure what's going on there. I might try and filter out the video part of it. I think I might try that. I've done that before. For some reason, I didn't think about that till just right now. So I might try that and get that out to you guys. I hope so, because I really loved the song, and I really was looking forward to doing more of the album. But if they're going to block it, then I won't be able to. But I was kind of surprised, because the video portion of it wasn't really, I don't know. It didn't seem like it was blockable or, really worthy of blocking, so you can't hear the music now either. But anyways, to get back to the point of the video today is, and a lot of this, as you know, is going to be Porcupine Tree. And I'm not going to do anything in particular order, but I just want to talk about some of the other bands also, besides Porcupine Tree as well, that I've done full albums of, and talk a little bit about each album, and hopefully you guys will chime in as well. But we will start off with Porcupine Tree, because I've done several of their albums. It's kind of interesting how I stumbled on to Porcupine Tree and how the whole thing kind of evolved. I had been listening to Steven Wilson. I stumbled on him few months ago, kind of in the summer, I think. And I was listening to him as I would be building my chicken coop in the backyard, and just really enjoying his music. And then when I started doing reactions, the very first reaction I did was a band called Japan, and that was given to me by a friend. He said, "Here, I want you to react to this." And so I did, and it kind of just exploded from that point, because of the connections. There's been so many connections of different bands and bandmates that are kind of connected with Steven Wilson. It's been really fascinating to kind of discover all this as it unfolds, and I know there's still a lot more that I still haven't even gotten to. But one of the first albums I just want to talk about, not necessarily the first one that I've listened to, but was the Signify album. A lot of people really were talking a lot about this one. This one, Signify, was released in 1996, and I ended up doing a live stream of the Signify album, and that was really fun. And so I was able to listen to the whole thing from top to bottom, which is not something I've been doing with the other ones, And so now that I've finished some of these other ones, I've been able to do that. And it's very satisfying hearing each song individually. and then talking about it. But it's also very, very satisfying to get to hear the whole album, because I'm really an album guy, and I like listening to albums, from start to finish. And so Signify was very satisfying, and to be able to talk with other people that were on the live stream was super fun. But just some great songs on here. Signify, the Sleep of No Dreaming, Pagan, Waiting Phase 1, Waiting Phase 2. Just all of them were just so good. Immediate Jesus, Light Mass Prayers, and Dark Matter, and there's more on there, but very enjoyable. I'm just really enjoying all the different sort of eras of Porcupine Tree. I'm thinking that, let's see, 96. I just finished Lightbulb Sun, which was excellent as well and highly recommended. That one was 2000. So I think Signify was probably the earliest Porcupine Tree that I've done so far, which was quite enjoyable. But Lightbulb Sun was done in 2000, and I just finished going through all of the songs. Extraordinary album, really was just fabulous. And some of the songs, of course, you guys were wanting me to, and it's very common with Porcupine Tree, is like, do the live version. And so, like when it came to the Hate song, people were just talking about that before I even started Lightbulb Sun. And so when I finally got there, and that was track 7, I pretty much had to immediately do the live version as well. So that was really awesome. And I had done early on in my Porcupine Tree sort of endeavors, was just kind of picking different songs that people were requesting, and I finally decided, I want to just listen to albums, each one, and just do the entire albums. That's not how I really started out with them, but it's how I eventually felt like I really wanted to do this. And but early on in my channel, I did Russia on Ice early on in my reaction portion of my channel. But I ended up redoing it because of the technology that I'm working with doing my videos is a lot better now than when I originally did Russia on Ice. I didn't have stereo, and it was just I have a better camera. I kind of upgraded that as well. So I redid Russia on Ice, which was just great to hear it again. It's like I couldn't really remember it, for a while as it started. It started kind of mellow with keyboards and stuff, and then finally when it got into it, and that guitar lick was just unmistakable and just super great. But so many great songs: Rush on Ice, the Hate song, She's Moved On, great lead in that. A lot of people are saying you got to hear She's Moved On. So finally, when I got to the Lightbulb Sun album, I got to hear all these songs people were just talking about. Fantastic album, highly recommended. I mean, so far, I highly recommend Porcupine Tree if you haven't listened to it. So if you're one of those listeners that are listening to other bands, like your favorite bands that are not Porcupine Tree, I really encourage you to check them out. And even if you just want to kind of test the water, just by going back into my videos and checking out some of my reactions to some of these songs. But definitely check out Porcupine Tree as on however you listen to music, however you stream it or buy CDs or whatever you do to get music. Check them out because they're a fantastic band. Unlike any band I can really describe. Also, their In Absentia album, I always have trouble saying that, was kind of an earlier one that I did, one of the first ones I did. I don't know if it was the first album I went all the way through, but what an amazing album. Now, I believe this is the first album. Oh no, now I'm going to have to remember names. With the new drummer, I'll think of it. But I'm drawing a blank right this moment. It'll come to me. Uh, and so you get a little different experience. You know, if you're into drums like I am, you can really tell. Gavin is the drummer. You can tell the difference. You know, and he's just an amazing drummer, and he adds so much to the Porcupine Tree music. Blackest Eyes. I was watching a documentary recently put out by Porcupine Tree, and they just talked about when Gavin first came, and they went through Blackest Eyes was like their first song that they sort of did with Gavin, and Stephen was like, "Yeah, this is gonna work," you know. So many great songs though: Trains, Lips of Ashes, The Sound of Music, Gravity Eyelids, Wedding Nails. They're all just great. Uh, Dot three. I kind of got dot three and Strip the Soul confused because I was really early on my Porcupine Tree, uh, exploration, and I did a live video, and it was like it was the two songs combined, and I was a little confused, but I ended up doing both of them from the studio version, of course, and so I was able to sort of understand what was going on. It's hard when you don't know anything about these artists and people are saying, wait, do this, do that. And I was like, okay, all right. I really love the help. That's been really a great thing about doing this is that, you guys that are fans of the different bands are super helpful, giving your time to sort of help explain a few things about the songs or the bands and just really interesting tidbits too. It's really cool. Strip the Soul, Heart Attack and a Lay-By. That was good. All great. Collapse into the Earth. Wonderful album, In Absentia. Fantastic. So that's another highly recommended Porcupine Tree song. And then I did, I think I did Arriving Somewhere But Not Here, and I did that as a whole album too, but I did that for Patreon, so that's over on my Patreon. But it was a really good album as well. They've all been great. I'm not sure where I'm going to go next with Porcupine Tree, frankly. There's still a lot of choices, so that's a good thing. Let's see. I've already kind of dabbled in a few of these, like a Fear of a Blank Planet. I've done a couple songs, so I'll have to augment that, which is no problem. Let's see. A lot of people are just recently are saying you got to hear recordings. There's stuff in there that is of pretty great interest. I can't remember exactly what it was, but they were saying it's a really good album. That was 2001, so that was right after the next album after Light Bulb Sun. Oh, I did Stupid Dreams too. That was a great album. Song by song, I went through all of it, and really, really good album. It started off a little slow for me, even less piano lessons, and then when it got to Stupid Dreams, Our Stupid Dream and Pure Narcotic, Slave Called Shiver, Don't Hate Me, great song. I mean, I started kind of getting the feel for the album, and really it was a very, very strong album. A lot of people were really excited for Stop Swimming and Tinto Brass. And those were kind of in the very end. Don't Hate Me, like I said, is great. So Stupid Dreams was a 1999 release from Porcupine Tree. I highly recommend it. It was just, I love, it's been a long time for me since I found like a new band to really, really like. I have my favorites, that some of my favorites have been my favorites for 30 plus years, some 40, some longer. But and then it's hard to find kind of new favorites for some reason. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm just was stuck in a rut or whatever. But the beauty of Porcupine Tree is that I like them so much, and they have so much music to check out. Some of the some of the recommendations like for next albums are like the Incident, so I might be doing that. There's Anesthetized. So like I said, Stupid Dream was the earliest album. No, Signify was the earliest album I did, was in '96. So one, two, three, four, five. There's 5 albums before '96 even, and so that's going to be really interesting. A lot of music left to explore with Porcupine Tree. So that's super exciting. Another band that I've got just nothing but high praise for, that I've been going through, album after album. Oh, I also did Dead Wing too for Porcupine Tree. I went through all of the songs on that. So great songs like Dead Wing and Shallow, Lazarus and Halo. Uh, let's see, Arriving Somewhere But Not Here. I can't remember I can't remember exactly what I did over on Patreon. I'm gonna have to look at that again. Mellotron Scratch, Open Car, started something beautiful, and Glass Arm Shattering. That was great, really good album. But one of the other bands I've been really digging is Opeth. For years and years and years, I have been hearing about Opeth, but for some reason, I just don't think my ears were ready for them. My musical palette was just not expanded enough in the different flavors of kind of the harder, harsher sort of vocals and things like that. But about 15 years ago, my son was 15 years old. He's almost 30 now, and of course he would start exposing me to some of this harsh vocals and stuff like that. I mean, all different kinds. And so, when I came to Opeth, it wasn't as, it wasn't really a shock to me anymore as far as that kind of vocal performance. So, and then, to hear the music of Opeth and to hear not only Michael's harsh vocals, but his beautiful voice and the superb musicianship that comes out of Opeth. I'm just floored. I think I touched on a song from their very first album, Orchid, and I'm gonna finish go through that whole album, because once I finished, I think the last album I did. No, the last album I'm still working on, in Cadia Veninum. I've got one more song to do, and that has just been an amazing experience for me, and I highly recommend it. I cannot encourage you enough to check that album out. It is a beautiful album, and it is amazing. One of the best albums I've probably ever heard in my life. Although I have one more song to go, I feel very confident of calling this one before anybody else does. I'm calling it a victory. So that's the latest album of theirs, and I have checked that one out. I also did Blackwater Park over on my Patreon. I did the whole album in one sitting, and that was really good. Opeth Communication was fantastic. I did that. Song by song on the channel here. You guys were here with me as we went through it all. Great album. Eternal Rains Will Come, The Cusp of Eternity, Moon Above the Sun, our Moon Above, Sun Below. Just so many great songs. River, Voice of Treason, Faith in Others. Fabulous 2014 release, Pale Communion. Did I say communication? I did that the very first time I talked about it. I don't know if I said it again, but for some reason. Pale Communion from Opeth. Really great album. I've done a little bit from Deliverance and Damnation. I did a couple songs, I think, from Sorceress. So I've touched on a couple of these. I've done a song or two from Heritage. Let's see. I've done the whole Watershed album. That was fantastic. Another highly recommended album. Um, oh, it looks like my spot. I'm looking at Spotify with as I'm talking about. It looks like it's. Oh, there it goes. It took a minute, but this is a great album as well. Highly recommended Opeth album. I started to talk about Opeth and just not being ready for them. Um, but as I started exploring them, and I've heard about them for years and years. A lot of my friends would talk about Opeth, and I remember a lot of people on Facebook as Facebook was just kind of getting started, and after a few years, and it was growing, and we were all jumping on it. And people, some of my friends that I hadn't really seen in person for a long time, you kind of reconnected with the whole Facebook thing back in the day, how it was kind of seemed more innocent or whatever. But a lot of them would talk about Opeth, but I never really checked them out. I would hear little snippets of stuff, and I would hear that harsh vocal, and I would just think, I don't understand. And so just my palate wasn't ready for it, and now I am totally embracing it. But Coil, Heir Apparent, Lotus Eater, Burden, Porcelain Heart, every song on here, Heson Peel, Hex Omega, Derelict Herd. I was shocked with Bridge of Sighs. I go when I got to it, I was like, oh, I recognize the title of that song. It's the same as another classic rock and roll song from Robin Trower, and I pushed play and I was floored that it was the same song. So great, a great song. Now I think that was kind of added to the special edition version of Watershed, as well as the Den. Let's see, Den Standingia Reason. I think those were also, that was just a special edition version of that, but I listened to all of them. So highly recommend Watershed album as well for an Opeth. I did Ghost Reveries, went through all of each song individually. Shoot, my Spotify is running slow. Why is it taking so long to load? But that was really good. As soon as it pops up, I'll be able to remember some of the songs. Oh, Ghost of Perdition was probably one of the very first Opeth songs I did. It may be the very first one I did, and it was a live version. And that sort of sent me on the Opeth path. I think it's pretty common first song for a lot of reactors. I've noticed. I've been a fan of reaction channels for like three years or so, and I found different ones that I like over the years, and I see other ones that I don't really connect with. And then in recent weeks, I found a couple more that I really like. And like I've talked about before, a lot of the reaction channels are doing reactions to songs that, I grew up with. So I know them already. That's why I don't do them, but I enjoy the process of watching somebody react to a song that I recognize and I've always loved. So that's really fun for me as a viewer. So now I'm on the other side of the channel, of the camera, and I'm the one doing the reactions. And so I'm not going to be doing, all the top 40 songs from the last 50 years that I've never, because I've heard them all. I grew up with them, and they're great, and there's so many beautiful songs that remind me of so many different things in life, and I love them. But my channel is about reactions, so I want to, or when I do a reaction, I want to do a real first listen reaction. So that's why I don't do that type of music. I'm doing, and plus my musical palette is expanding. I've always been into a prog kind of more music for a long time, and that's developed over time too, incrementally. And so discovering some of these more modern kind of prog bands has been really good for me, because I was kind of stuck in the Rush and the Genesis and Yes and that type of stuff, from the 70s and late 60s and even the early 80s and like that. So it's been kind of eye-opening to hear where these more modern prog guys, even though Opeth has been around for 20 plus years, It's crazy that I never ever listened to them. I don't. I know people say that about things, how they never heard them, but that is the case with Opeth and me. But great song, great Ghost Reveries is a great album, highly recommended. Let's see, I did Reverie and Harlequin Forest. I think I did a live video and kind of got that all messed up because I didn't know what I was doing, but I straightened it out. And uh, the Grand Conjuration, Isolation Years, Hours of Wealth. So very highly recommended album from Opeth again. And we're talking about the music I've done on my channel and albums that I have completed. That's kind of what the topic of discussion is here, you know. And let's see, where else, what else have I done from Opeth that we can talk about before we move on. I've done a little bit of Lamentation. I think I did one song from Lamentations, which is looks like a live video. I did a song or two from Deliverance, at least one. And so there's a lot more music to get through with Opeth, obviously. I mean, the very first album starts in 1995, you know, and I was kind of in, I think kind of grunge was in its heyday, you know, or at least towards the end of grunge anyways, maybe. And that was kind of the thing that was going on and, you know, on the radio. And so at that time, I was busy working and I had my own business. I built custom furniture and I had a showroom and a workshop. And so a lot of my time listening to music was radio at that point, and wasn't really like listening in headsets at all. Or even just listening like I used to when I was younger, just on a nice stereo system. So I somehow I missed Opeth. I don't know. I know I heard about him, but I just, like I said, didn't have the musical palette for him. So that's another band and some albums that I highly recommend. That if you are here listening to my channel for your favorite albums or your favorite bands that don't include Porcupine Tree and Opeth, that might be a place for you to kind of expand to and to look to see if it's something that you have interest in, because a lot of the other bands are similar styles, and I think it could be very very complementary in your musical repertoire as far as listening to, because I have noticed that you know, Porcupine Tree and Opeth, you know, they get views as far as, you know, if I was to gauge it on that kind of a metrics, as far as being a creator of YouTube videos, you know, the views are not nearly as much as some of the other bands that have just, I don't know, a more rabid following for some reason. So that's why I kind of want to talk about these bands, that they should have a lot of people listening to them. And I know there's a lot of fans, and of course Porcupine Tree has released that new song Harridan. I did a review on the first day that it came out. It was kind of a surprise for everybody, and I think it was November 1st. You can see my review on that song from November 1st if you go into my videos section of my channel and find it very easily. So a lot of people are super excited about Porcupine Tree and upcoming live concerts and the new album. So really exciting stuff from them. I just want to talk about one more band that sort of escaped me for quite a few years. And I've talked about the situation where and the band is Tool. And I knew about Tool from, I think it was 1996. I had my workshop. It was a wood shop, and I had built my recording studio in the same building, sort of in the front office parts. And I had built some extra rooms for, you know, for a mixing room, and then a couple of different playing rooms. And it was a little bit difficult, because it was a wood shop, so I had to keep the wood dust out of the recording studio. And I would listen to music then, and I had picked up the 1996 Anima album, I think it's called, and listened to it a few times, a little bit, but I didn't get super into it for some reason. I have the CD, and I really never followed up. They had one more album before that in 1993 called Undertow, which I don't know anything about, so I'll be looking forward to checking that out. And I did do their, I thought, okay, people were requesting tools, so, and as I do sometimes when I look at a new band, sometimes I want to hear their very latest output, and that was Fear Inoculum for Tool, and that was 2019. And I'm just floored. What a great album that was. It was, if you just want to like sit and chill with your headphones on and just kind of get lost in the music and just let your mind focus on the music, and then let your mind wander away as it will, and then come back into the music as it directs you to, whatever. It's such a great album for that. Really, really good. I loved it. It's just really a top-notch album. It's amazing to me that those guys can make that kind of sound. The drums and the drum mixes, the production on this album is just immaculate. The guitar playing is incredible, as well as the effects that he uses are just unique. I think the way he uses them to the band itself, as well as the bass player. He's got a few different effects that he uses on with his bass that are just really, really cool. He's got a great bass tone, and I know he's got a few different bass tones, but they're all great. But they're very, I kind of describe them as open and round. That is really unique to Tool, I think. I enjoyed that album tremendously. So highly recommended Tool. I just started 10,000 Days. So I just literally started that yesterday. So my first song I did from 10,000 Days was Vicarious, and that was just a great start. Fabulous start to a new video. A lot of people recommended that one, and and then people were recommending Lateralis, which was 2001. It's kind of interesting how much time between albums they've taken. Their first album was 1993, and then three years later, 1996, they had their second one, and then 2001. So that's 5 years later, and then 2006. That's another 5 years later for 10,000 Days, and then literally 13 years later, they came up with Fear Inoculum. And I think it was a great success and made a lot of Tool fans extraordinarily happy. Would be pretty safe to say. So if you're looking for some very cool music, highly recommend the Tool Fear Inoculum. Very good album. Some of the other bands that I've listened to, like Dream Theater, like I said before, I'm going to see if I can't get that video up today. I just realized that had a video included with it, so I might be able to filter that out and get it up. But I've been kind of all over the place with them and doing a lot of live videos. But I really like the sound of that first song on their new album, Alien, like I said, and I hope I can get this to go through because I really want to hear more. But a couple of other bands that I haven't listened to all of the albums, and I've just been kind of jumping around, but I really encourage you guys to listen to. And I have some songs on my playlist. If you want to look in my videos and get my reactions to them as you listen to them, that's great. But if you're going to listen to them on your own time, Leprous is one that I really, really like a lot. I think you'll know if you've been watching my videos. and like the last Leprous one I did got, a couple hundred views. So I know that not a lot of people are listening to it. So I want to kind of direct you to them, to not for my views, but for your listening enjoyment. One of the most one of the most intriguing bands that I have found was Ginger, and I just done one song from them so far, and I was blown away. So that might be something to look into. A lot of people say they're great, and the song that I checked out was called Wallflower, and they say it's kind of one of their sort of mellower songs. But oh man, it's super interesting, and it's a female vocalist, and she was great, and the musicianship was fabulous, super high level in that band. And then also I have done a couple of Dallas Green. He goes by City and Color, and highly recommended. I highly recommend his music. It's more on the mellower side. Let me pull it up real quick so I can talk about it a little bit better. I've been listening to City and Color. His name is Dallas Green. Dallas is a city and green is a color. So he goes by City and Color. But he comes out of Canada, and he comes from a band, kind of a hardcore band called Alexis on Fire, which I've heard some albums of, and it's really good. I remember I was playing some poker after work one day with a bunch of dudes that we would do poker night on Wednesdays, and one of the new guys was a real metalhead, and he was kind of angry with me after the CD we were listening to. I suggested we listen to Alexis on Fire, and he was not liking my idea. He'd never heard of him, and when the album got over, he was like, "Dude, that was really good. That was really good." He enjoyed it. But I'm not talking about Alexis on Fire. I'm just talking about Dallas Green came out of that band, and he started doing some real introspective acoustic music. And his first album came out in 2005. And he did some live albums and live recordings. And then he finally, in 2011, came out with his first like full band studio recording. It's called Little Hell. I love that album. It is so good. If you haven't heard City and Color, it's very good. It's kind of a little bit, it's kind of on a mellow side, but also rock side. But he's got a real way with chord structure and great songwriter, and a great band. And then he also has The Hurry and the Harm that he released in 2013. Just a fabulous full band album. And if I Should Go Before You in 2015. Guide Me Back Home in 2018, and A Pill for Loneliness is his last album, 2019. Just excellent music. A little more sort of kind of mellow, but also it's got some sort of just, how do I describe it? It's just different to me. He's a very unique approach to music, and I really like it. And his acoustic stuff is great too. He's got really interesting chords, and above all, he's a fantastic singer, a really good singer. And he's not super like internationally famous, but he comes out of Canada and he tours a lot all over the world. And he's really somebody I think that really deserves to have more notoriety. And that's City and Color. So I highly recommend his music, any of his albums. They're all, his early out stuff is real acoustic, and then he gets into the full band stuff a little bit later. So just another band that I think that you guys could listen to and check out and find some real value in. He's got enough music out there to really keep you guys busy for a while, because the more you listen to his music, the more you just fall in love with it. It's just I have once said that I put it on the same level as Porcupine Tree. I'm not saying it's the same kind of music. I'm just saying that it's got that kind of appeal to me as Porcupine Tree. So a couple other kind of shockers would be like Caligula's Horse. I was really shocked to hear how good they are. Really like them. I've done a few songs now from them, and I kind of told the story how I avoided them. I've heard their name for a while, but I didn't like the fact that it was Caligula, because I have a whole story about stuff that went on with that and who Caligula is, and his sexual perversions, and I just didn't really want to be associated with the name. But I finally gave in to the subscribers' pressure, and oh my gosh, it's not about Caligula, it's about Caligula's horse. Okay, Caligula's horse is not Caligula, so that's my excuse. Great band though. You should check out more Caligula's Horse if you want some really top-notch progressive rock that's very very special, very individualized. Also, I've been digging Big Big Train. A lot of their stuff is really cool. Been digging them. Of course, some of the newer bands I've been listening to are like Nightwish and Arion. Really good. Kind of a new sort of style of kind of music for me. And Winter Sun is great. You should check out Winter Sun. They're very, very good. I haven't done full albums. I've just done like songs from these particular ones. But I'm just throwing them out there for you guys to have like something else to listen to besides what you already like, if you haven't heard some of these. Really good bands, really good music. And I've really expanded my knowledge and some of these other areas of music that I'm super happy about. It just really feels good to find stuff that really connects with you in different ways. Let's see if there's any other ones that kind of pop up. Like Devin Townsend. I've been hearing about Devin Townsend for a long time. And so I've been listening to some of his stuff, and he is a fantastic artist, very different. He's got his own thing going on, and I've listened to a couple of interviews that he has given, and he's a really cool person too. And I like the way he talks and the way he holds himself, and how he comes across. And his music is amazing. He's got an incredible singing voice and really great, fun music. And I know that a lot of people say that like his projects are kind of different from the others. So they say this about one, they say this about another. So he's been around for a while doing this, and I just have not listened to him until recently. So he's definitely one that I would put up there high as far as somebody to check out and to experience, to see if it's something that sits well with you, and kind of in the prog metal genre in there. So there's a couple other more obscure bands, like a band called Ineed that I was introduced to, that I find very, very compelling. It's Need, and I have a couple of songs on my playlist from them, and I've listened to a couple of their albums on my own time. It's just really good, very interesting music. There's bands like Bellacore. If you want you like harsh vocals and you want that metal, they're very, very good. They have a brand new album out, so that's worth listening to. BE''Lakor, Bellacore, and you can find them on my playlist too. If you forget what I'm saying and you want a visual of what their name looks like, and so you can check them out. Another highly rated band. Also, that's probably about it for now, but I just kind of wanted to get these out here and talk to you about some of the songs and some of the bands that I've really, really liked, that you might not be listening to because you're more interested in other bands that I have been posting. But it's nice to kind of like experiment and check out different stuff. And so I wanted to give you some direction, or just some recommendations really, on where you can do that and who you might want to check out. Let's see. That's probably enough for now. Anyways, thank you guys for listening. I appreciate it. No music, just me yammering about music. I like talking about it. I've got a lot of talking videos early on in my channel about some of the top albums of the year and things like that I've done. Also some interviews. So I have done a lot of just talking videos and not just reaction videos too. And I intend on doing more of those as well. So who knows how that's going to go as far as views and how much you guys like them. But if you have any topics that you want me to touch on, let me know. And maybe I'm knowledgeable on them, or maybe I can do some research and then get back to you with it. But it's something I like to do. I just like talking about music. It's fun to talk in the comments, but sometimes just doing it like this as a video presentation works well too. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate all you guys subscribing and all you listeners. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I appreciate it. And make sure you click that notification bell as well. That really helps to get my videos into your notification box. Otherwise, subscribing alone doesn't get you my videos in your notification box. So it's kind of a two-tiered verification thing. And then if you're interested in helping out the channels, there's lots of ways to do that. I've got a merch store with some new designs in there. I also have a Patreon and a Ko-Fi. You can buy me a beer. And there's other ways to do that too. I have a coffee brand that I sell down there. I even sell solar panels, believe it or not. If you're interested in doing some off-grid solar panels, I can get you a whole pallet of them for really cheap. A lot of them are used, but in good condition. You kind of got to know about solar to understand that they degrade after a certain amount of time, but they only degrade so far. So instead of like 100% of the value of their ability to soak up the sun, they're like at around 90% at this point, which is still really high for the price that you pay. So anyway, that's a good way to get into solar for cheap. So there's different ways to help out the channel if you're interested. But anyways, I am glad you're here watching the videos. That's what's cool. And none of that is necessary. Just that you're here and participating in the channel on YouTube is very cool. So we will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for listening. And let me know in the comments if you have anything that you would like to discuss without, kind of like a non-musical thing. Because all the music I do gets copyright claims against it. So, there's a little bit of a, give and take with that. Right now I'm going to try to get that Dream Theater video up. All right. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.